What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another division prediction video. Today we got the NFC North, and we'll be predicting where each team finished from first to last. Stay tuned for the rest of the divisions, and once the regular season starts, we will be predicting each and every game. So anyways, let's get started with the NFC North. Alright, the North. So this division only had one playoff team, which came with the Vikings, who were knocked out of the wild card round against the Giants. And the Lions got close to making the playoffs, but weren't able to make it. The Packers had a mediocre season, and the Bears were the worst in the league last year. So usually this division is usually competitive, and it's filled with a lot of young talent and developing teams. And this year will be the same. One thing that stood out about this division is that it's very offensive heavy. And another notable thing about this division is that if you look at the bottom four teams in most yards allowed per game, 3 of them are in this division. So yeah, these teams are looking to improve their defense, as they couldn't stop a nosebleed last year. It was pretty bad. Teams like the Vikings have added a lot of defensive pieces to improve this defense, while the rest are relying on their young developing players to improve that defense. So we'll see how that works. Winning the NFC North division, we got the kneecap biters themselves, the Lions. This team came off with a positive record last year, sitting at 9-8, and was unfortunately unable to make the playoffs.
You're putting them as, you said you're putting them as the number one?
Yeah, they're winning the division.
Who's in their division?
The Vikings, Bears, and Packers. Why is that crazy?
Maybe it's not that crazy.
They bite kneecaps.
Alright. Go Lions!
Now this offense, what led them to their success was definitely their offense. They had the 4th best total yards per game. And a big contributor to this stat was their passing offense, led by Jared Goff, and the sure that they had a receiver. They have a star receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they added more depth by signing in Marvin Jones Jr., which is a good thing, good signing, because Jameson Williams will be suspended for the first 6 games of the season due to gambling issues, which has been a common thing throughout the league. A lot of players getting suspended for gambling, which is kind of weird, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But unfortunately, we have to wait a longer period of time to see what they have in the second-year receiver. He did miss most of last year due to an ACL injury. They also traded their talented tight end to a division rival, which is strange. But yeah, they lost T.J. Hawkinson. They tried replacing him by drafting a rookie in Sam Laporta. He seems to be solid. A big difference with this offense is the fact that they got rid of their top 2 running backs, and they're like completely resetting the group by signing David Montgomery and drafting Jahmyr Gibbs with their first pick in the first round of the draft this year. It seems that these 2 running backs will have the same roles as the last 2 starters. They're gonna have the majority carries to Gibbs, and it looks like Montgomery's gonna have the goal line carries or the short yardage carries. So both of those running backs do have fantasy value, as I do have Montgomery myself, so I hope he does get a lot of goal line carries. This O-line group is still one of the best in the league. Goff is definitely set up for success and should still be able to be one of the most dangerous offenses in this league. The anchor that's been holding this team back is the defense. They allowed the most yards per game in the league last year, which is pretty bad. That's awful. How do they address this, you may ask? Well, they addressed it by free agency. They brought in a bunch of free agency. They got in C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Cameron Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley, Anzalone, Isaiah Buggs, and they drafted Jack Campbell in the draft. That's potentially 6 new starters, and it's going to be hard to think that they won't improve after being the worst in the league. So that'd be hard to do if they actually got worse, but I doubt it. I think just by being even a little bit better, that this team's going to find a lot more success. With that in mind, they do also have Aiden Hutchinson. He has another year under his belt. So I think he's going to develop and having an even bigger season this year, hopefully. So we'll see. This team is going to be exciting. It's going to be one of the more fun teams to watch. And it looks like they're just going to have to win through their offense. And this defense might have to step up, so we'll see. Not to mention that Dan Campbell is a beast, and he's able to turn his players into dogs. So with that, I got the Lions in first and taking one of the playoff spots. In second place, we got Kirk Cochains himself and the Vikings. The Vikings offense was explosive as ever as they finished 7th in total yards in offense, especially when it came to the passing game. Kirk Cousins, I thought, took a step up and showed that he is consistent and reliable, and he just really played well last year. And some argue that he's unable to win primetime games, but I don't believe that narrative. The only reason I believe they lost the playoff game was because their defense let them down. But other than that, I don't think there's any substance to believe that narrative. This team will be moving on from Dalvin Cook and will look to Alexander Mattison for production in the run game. He will be running behind a not great offensive line, but a solid offensive line. Madison should get a ton of production, but I don't think we can expect him to be like Dalvin Cook kind of production. So I do think the run game will take a step down. The Vikings have some top receivers as they have the one and only Jay Jettis, Justin Jefferson himself, the best receiver last year. And they also are going to pair him up with Jordan Addison out of USC, and they took him the first round in this year's draft. And he's already making plays in the preseason, you know. They also acquired TJ Hawkinson, a top tight end from the Lions, their own division. What a steal. But the issue with that is he's looking for another contract, and he says that he's looking to complete reset tight end market. And both sides are far from agreeing. So this is a situation to keep an eye on, as they may look to move on from him when the contract runs out, or maybe even trade. But I doubt it. I doubt they'll trade him away. They'll probably try to meet in the middle, but we'll see. These players are asking for a lot more these days. The only issue I have with the offense is they don't have much depth, and they do have talent on the starting positions. But as the season goes on, there will be injuries. So if starters start going down, will there still be the same production going on? Of course not, but what degree less will there be in the production? So we'll see. One addition I did like to this team was Brian Flores. He's one of the better defensive coaches in this league. And this defense really needed it. The only notable names on this defense is Neil Hunter and Harrison Smith. And Harrison Smith is an aging safety, so you can expect him to progress some. They did make some additions such as Marcus Davenport and Byron Murphy, but we'll see if that will be enough to make an impact. Coach Flo does like to run a lot of cover 0, cover 1s, so you already know that the pressure in this defense is going to increase to make up for the lack of talent. So we'll see. I think they might improve slightly, but not much. They'll still probably be in the bottom half in defensive stats, but we'll see. So that's it. We got second, we got the Vikings. In third, we got the Bears. And this team is receiving a lot of offseason hype. And by offseason hype, I mean a lot of people are expecting to go 500 this year. Not too much expectation now. But most of the hype is coming from Justin Fields having an explosive season last year and him just being explosive with the ball, making plays, even though that team had almost no talent at all. But they are expecting to do better this year, especially with his accuracy. And this team only averaged 130 passing yards per game last year. I think that's the worst in the league. So what did they do to improve this? They went out and traded for a wide receiver 1 in DJ Moore, and he's looking solid in preseason. But, of course, you can't take much from preseason. Even besides that, he's still a solid receiver. He's definitely a good wide receiver 1 to have. But they also invested in that O-line. And with that improved O-line, Justin Fields will have more time to throw, and the receivers have more time to develop in their routes and get open. If you look at the receivers, they have DJ Moore, they have Clay Chasepool, and they have Darnell Mooney. Now, last year, they started to get open, but with DJ Moore, that should give them more opportunities to get open. And, of course, they also have Cole Kmet, a developing young tight end who I believe is going to be solid and it's going to have a breakout season, I believe, personally. And in the draft, they had the number 1 draft pick, but they did trade back and got an offensive lineman and got more picks. So I think that's a successful offseason. And they improved that O-line, but they did lose David Montgomery, who was a big part of the run game production last year. But they still have Khalil Herbert, and they drafted a running back in this year's draft. So they'll definitely have a running back committee. Plus, they have Justin Jefferson. He's probably the best running back out there. but now he's got to work on his accuracy and throw power and all of that. So for the defense, they were almost as bad as the Vikings, a team in this division. They had the second worst run defense last year. That front seven was pretty bad. So they added T.J. Edwards and got Tremaine Edmonds for the linebacker. And those are huge pickups, especially for the linebackers. That'll definitely help with the run defense. Defensive line and pass rush is still a concern. They don't have any big names there, but they did add Yannick Ngakoue to improve the edge rush. The secondary is not as bad as you would think. They're a young group, but they should only improve as well. This team is a lot better than it was last year, but there's still a lot of work to go on. They still have Eddie Jackson in that secondary too. They have Jalen Johnson and another young corner and another young safety, Brisker. They have Brisker and a safety, I believe, and they actually played pretty well. They're probably mid in the league in passing defense. So even with that, they're still young. They should improve. Eddie Jackson, they still hope they can get the elite play out of him. I know he's aging, so he might get some regression, but he should have some support with those young guys. But it still seems like they need another year before they can compete for this division. In last, we got the Green Bay Packers. Now, this team has a lot of questions heading to the season because this is a completely different team than it was last year. First of all, A-Rod is gone. He went to the Jets. He packed his bag. He's gone. He's out of here. The guy, it's love season for the foreseeable future. This team is pretty consistent with the running backs. They still have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. The offensive line, not much changed. Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, gone. Going to have to rely on Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and they did draft a new tight end in Luke Musgrave, who has been producing in preseason games and looked impressive in camp. But with Jordan Love, I think this is his fourth, fifth year in the NFL, and we still haven't seen him play much. So there's a lot of questions with that, and just with that, doesn't make me comfortable to put them over any of the other three teams. But even with that, there's less questions on the defensive side, as that's definitely the strength of the team, especially from last year. The only big addition with this defense is that they drafted Luke Van Ness out of the draft this year, an edge rusher. They improved the front seven. That front seven looks pretty good. There's solid linebacker. They have a solid linebacker group, a solid edge rushers. No concerns there. The concern comes in the secondary, but they're still led by Jair Alexander. He's definitely one of the best in the league, one of the best cover corners in the league. The question is with the safeties and how the cornerback cross from Jair Alexander is going to play. This team will definitely have questions answered, but we'll know a lot. We'll know this team a lot better by the end of the year. The coaching front office showed a lot of trust in Jordan Love. What's his name? J Love? I don't know. We'll see. They'll probably call a nickname with him. J Love. Because if they didn't, they would have signed a veteran quarterback to at least bring some competition in. But instead they drafted a rookie quarterback in Sean Clifford out of Penn State. So I got Packers in last. That team it's got the foundation. I think the foundation is definitely in the trenches. The O-line is still solid. The defense, the front seven is pretty good. The secondary is where the concerns at. Receivers, we still got questions about. But I do like Christian Watson, so he might get open. He's going to get a lot of production because who's going to get all the passing yards? Who's going to catch all those passes from Jordan Love? It'll have to be Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, or whoever emerges from that wide receiver group. But with that, I got the Packers in last. They'll probably have to rebuild. I don't know what they're going to do with the quarterback, but we'll see. A lot of questions will be answered this season. So with all that said, it's pretty safe to say this division contains some of the worst defenses in this league. So we'll definitely see some high-scoring games when they play each other. The Lions are a safe bet to win this division, I would say. The Vikings, I'm still hesitant because of that defense. The Bears, they're still developing. The Packers are just one big question mark. But the offenses in this division will be strong, and except for the Packers, which I'm still unsure about, so I can't say they're going to be strong. But the Lions will definitely reach the playoffs. Finally, right, about time they make the playoffs. The Vikings will be competing for a wild card spot. Wouldn't be too hard in the NFC. And the Bears and the Packers, I doubt it. I doubt it. Maybe the Bears. Maybe the Bears with what's going on with the NFC. So, and the Packers, I think they need a year to figure things out. I don't know what the direction is with this team. So, yeah, that's the North. That's the North, baby. All right. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know how you think this division is going to shape up. Don't forget to support the channel by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. And also, football season is almost here, man. Stay tuned for all those content. And I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching the video.